Okay, welcome back to the Innovation Hub, everyone. As you can see, we've been joined by a canine friend, but a rather special kind of canine friend. I'm keeping a safe distance. I'm more of a cat person myself, anyway, and I couldn't tell you much more about it than that it's yellow. It has 4 legs, but I'm happy to be able to introduce to you Mr. Jeroen Fransman, who works at TNO and who knows everything and more about Spot, the dog, but also about how to apply hybrid AI systems in technologies going forward. So without any further ado, Jeroen, please take the stage and introduce Spot to us.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great. Hi, welcome to of the TNO pitch about hybrid AI. I'm still waiting for the slide to come up, but let me introduce myself. My name is Jeroen Fransman, one of the lead scientists of the SNOW project, which is part of a larger project of applied AI research we do within TNO. And I'm going to be talking about hybrid AI for safe autonomous systems in the open world. And we at TNO find it important to add the open world because the open world is not inside research centers or inside academia in labs, but actually that is where the hard problems arise, but also where robots, autonomous systems, such as Spot with its backpack, can really make an impact on the world. But of course, we at TNO have been trying to develop these methods and try to see which kind of algorithms we can use in a responsible manner. And I will guide you through some of the things we have found during our research, and I will highlight the responsibility aspects of them. So if we take a look at a typical operation of a robot, there are a lot of factors in play here. But it always starts with a human. And we find it important that there's also always a possibility to have a human in the loop, which is important for accountability as well. And what we have developed is a method that's called DEEP, which stands for Dynamic New Place, which makes it easy for human operators to specify missions, but also to gain and to remain to have this situation awareness throughout the entire mission. And for example, you can specify a mission for a search and rescue use case. And a mission could be search all the rooms for victims, and if you find them, please let me know. And also, if something is not okay, there's an anomaly, let me know that as well. If not, please continue with the mission. But the question, what is abnormal, is a hard question for a robot to answer. And that's where our hybrid AI methods comes in. So we combine data-driven AI with hybrid AI, with knowledge base. And this knowledge base contains not only facts, therefore it's different from a database, it also contains relations between entities. For example, if you are searching inside a building for a search and rescue operation, and you know that there's a family inside that has 2 parents and a couple of children, you want to add that knowledge to the system without having it learned by the system. So do not learn what you already know. But you want to add that to a system that is both understandable for a human and actionable for a robot. And that's also where the accountability comes in. This is different from data-driven AI, in which you have a lot of actions, a lot of simulation runs, for example, in order to train certain behavior. And even though you have trained it until you are satisfied with the performance, if you go to the open world, where there are unexpected things that might happen, this could be a problem because then your performance fails. So we combine both of them, so the knowledge base and data-driven AI. So a human operator can ask things to the knowledge base, is everything okay? And it will check, do I have any anomalies? No, that's okay. But it goes one step further, because it can also ask, during the operation, what action can I do to better understand the situation? This is a question the robot can ask to the knowledge base, and it will query the state of the world. Is this room dark? Then I cannot use my camera, but I can use my camera in combination with a flashlight, for example. Or it is foggy, so I cannot use my camera at all, but I can use my acoustic sensors, such as the one in front, to pinpoint locations of possible victims. And if a victim is found, you want to specify in a knowledge base, so you don't want to learn this in training sessions, that if you find a human, for example, laying on the ground, that if it's an adult, you might approach it in a different way than you might approach a child. So you might have more distance between you and the child, or specifically, if you approach a victim and it is dark, turn off your flashlight, because that might be intimidating. These things you can add for every use case, for every scenario beforehand in a knowledge base, and therefore it is very tractable as well, that what action the robot will do in which situation. The hybrid AI with the knowledge base and the data-driven AI are always used in synchronously, because the data is something you can learn. So we use data-driven AI to understand the situation visually, in which in at TNO we develop these algorithms, and these are data-driven. But because we have embedded it in a knowledge base, it is also very tractable where this information comes from. So if you see a person, you know which algorithm concluded that it's a person, and why, and how that information is gathered inside the system, and why the robot made the choice it made, because it saw a victim, for example. This is only a part of the total system we are designing, and you can see the brains on top of the robot in the picture. And that's because we call this a backpack, but it's more like a brain, an autonomous brain. And I just explained the knowledge base and a data-driven AI, which is more of the prefrontal cortex, where the reasoning and the perception is located. But there's also a very important other part of the brain, which is the cerebellum, the little brain. And for that, we are investigating behavior trees, which basically make sure that if there's sensor information coming from the robot, or do you want to control the robot, steer it to move a certain location, that it is all handled on a very low level. And it has a few very beneficial properties. What you can do is you can create modules which supply certain functionality, and based on that functionality, you can create behaviors which can grow to be more and more complex. An example of a very basic behavior is move to a certain location. But if you have the behavior move to a location and assess person, and you have also a way to query a knowledge base which positions you should place inside a room to search it completely, then you can create a very complex behavior, which is search a room. And searching a room is an action that either a human operator can ask for, but also an optimization algorithm, such as a planner, can also plan in succession. And these behaviors work on a low level, so either a human operator or an algorithm asks for a certain behavior during operation, and these behaviors can have fail guards or fail safes and also checks, which makes the operation very safe and also tractable. You know when you ask for search this room that it will first do this, then that, and if this fails, you'll try that, and if not, then it will move on. And because you can have these fail safes, for example, do not move inside the building if your battery is running low, and you can add these also for more of a context safety. that one I already mentioned, like do not approach a human with your flashlight on, for example. But those are all concepts that we are developing to form the entire brain. But if we want to move forward, we actually want to have the entire ecosystem. So for every use case we have, we start at the top, we try to see what functionality is required to perform this use case. And for that, we try to see what submodules are required, what behaviors. And here on this example we have a couple of these modules located. So we have specific modules that supply audio functionality, speech to text, text to speech. There's also one that is specific for camera processing, and this is typically where the data-driven AI and image recognition comes in. And there's another one specifically to move the platform somewhere. And because these are all separate modules, and we also have one specialized for this sensor here, we make sure that within the ecosystem, these functionalities are all stackable. So if we have submodule providers, which does not necessarily have to be us, it can be partners, they can supply one of these modules, and we can fit them like Legos to form the complete system and be able to perform various use cases. So to give you a complete example, I have a small video in which we have this entire circle, so from use case to which users, then these blocks, and then also how it would look during a real life use case. And the use case you'll be seeing is the one for industrial inspection, in which a robot has been given a task by a human operator with the deep method, and it also signals that there are some anomalies during operation.
I am checking the status of the manometer. It has a value of 12.9. I am moving to a new waypoint. I'm checking whether the pipe is leaking. My performance is too low, starting to reason. Generating interventions. It is safe, the pipe is not leaking. I detected an anomaly. This might be dangerous. There is a possible dangerous situation. Please, evacuate the area.
Great job, Spot. So hopefully I have given you a glimpse of our research that we've been doing, highlighted some of the responsibility aspects like traceability, accountability, and also understandability for humans, keeping the human in the loop, as you saw in the example as well. If you find this interesting, please find us. We're at the other end of the hall to answer all your questions you might have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeroen. Do you have time to take a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure Spot here has raised a lot of questions with you, so please raise your hand if you have a question to Jeroen, and I will come to you.
I see one over there.
Yeah, sure.
From a psychological perspective, how serious would people take the robot, as it, for instance, says, to evacuate, compared to a human telling them to do so?
Well, a good question. It's always hard to know in advance how people will respond, because currently, if you would find a robot walking around your work or a construction site or industry, you might find it as a novelty and find it interesting. But if there are 12 of those running around and one is telling you to move, one is telling you to stay, then it might be hard to know who to listen to or whom to listen to at all in that sense. I think those are things that we are currently working with partners to investigate what is the human-machine teaming and also the human-machine interaction, how would that play out in detail, because for now, it's really early research, and well, you don't see many robots walking around, but it's a good question to raise, because I don't think the answers are in yet.
Thanks. A follow-up? Yeah, sure.
The reason why I'm asking is because I believe in England was the case. It was a very big fire, and people were sitting in a restaurant. It was last century, or maybe even earlier, and people just remained seated because they were so customary to first paying for their dinner before leaving. And they saw no one else leaving, so the social normal said that they would all be leaving, whereas everyone else in the building, outside of the restaurant, in all the stores, they did evacuate. So, and I think that perhaps a robot might not actually adjust these social norms accurately as a human intervener would do.
Well, I have some experience with doing evacuation drills at the company, and even though the alarm's going off and you with the vest on indicating that you are indeed someone who is evacuating a building, still people are saying, well, this is a drill, it'll be fine. So you will always have that aspect, but the alarm and the horn is something that is very customary. If you hear it, you know there's an evacuation drill or a real evacuation. And I believe if these having robots in work are more become the new normal, so to speak, then you'll know that if Spot is walking around, then it's something seriously hazardous going on, so then you would probably listen. But for now, if you see one, it's like, cute, I'll follow it somewhere.
So it's not just Spot who has to learn new stuff, it's all of us, actually.
Yes, so I think it's very important also to indicate that these innovations do not grow out of thin air. They are not, well, the fundamentals are designed in research institution academia, but then having them actually make an impact in the real and the open world, you need to pay attention to the socio-technical feedback loops that are in place. So with human and operator and human and, well, building management and up and up and up.
Yeah, sure. Over there, I'll come to you.
I have actually two questions. So the first one, especially when you train your robot to detect anomalies, usually we don't have enough data sets that cover all these anomalies. So how did you deal with this challenge of a small data problem? And the second one, did you experiment under different, let's say, visibility conditions or weather conditions? And what was the robustness?
Oh, well, thank you very much for raising those two questions, because I really enjoyed telling about this. So to start off with with the second part. So how does the robot know when it can use its sensors? There's actually research we do on these robots because we are implementing our AI and our research on a real platform, either Spot or on a driving vehicle. We'll actually get to experience the problems that are present in the open world. And specifically for sensor performance, we try to learn on a lot of large data sets to see which performance we get under which conditions. So we might take, for the camera, we might take light conditions, contrast, color, that kind of information into account, and then have self-learning maps about like the landscape. So if the environment is now in these conditions, then I can expect a performance of something. And this is information we train beforehand and is really specific for the sensors. So that is information we can add to the knowledge base. And that's also where the first question, the answer of the first question comes in, how we deal with the, the small data problem, is that we use data-driven AI for the things we have information on, sensor performance, we can define experiments and experiment on those a lot. But then for the one-off chances, we add that to the knowledge base. So it is queryable by the robot, so can I use my sensor in this environment? And then it asks these maps, what is my performance? Is this sufficient in this condition? If yes, then yes. If no, then no. But we really try to avoid learning things we already know. And that's where the knowledge base, its main strength is. It's knowledge you can add as an operator, which is very specific to the use case, because you already know this, or it's common knowledge, or it's your experience. But you can tell Spot, if this is the case, then you always do this. Or there are relations between objects. For example, if an operator says, please save a family, which is in a burning building, for example, please find them as fast as you can. Then you don't want to specify to find father, mother, and children, for example. But because you add that knowledge beforehand on the knowledge base, it already knows, like, okay, in this building there are probably 5 people. I will search for 5 people. If I found them, I am done. And I can also signal the firefighter or the one that is doing the rescue that I found all people that should be here. So, summarize. If we have a lot of data, we use data-driven AI, and we develop our own algorithms for specific purposes. And the rest, we try to use the knowledge base to add knowledge we already know as humans. Yeah.
Great. Is there a final question to Jeroen? Yes, over there.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. So you talk about combining data-driven, mostly vision-based AI, if I understand, with like deterministic behavior tree types of behavior management. Yeah. Are you considering also reinforcement learning-based approach, training in simulation and transferring to the real world? What's the work you're doing in that area?
Yeah, well, interesting question. We actually at TNO, we do a lot of research on more, so we have an intelligent imaging department, for example, that's focused on this, which is highly invested in these kind of methods, for example. So to train based on simulation and then to retrain in the real world. But what we try to do with this kind of research is to take that and to bring that into the open world. So actually fit that on a platform and see what the performance is in real life, so in situations you did not know. But we try to do that in a responsible way by embedding it and adding these safety features. So we have the behavior trees in which we ask an algorithm to give us an answer about a certain property or state of the world. So it's really tractable that if the robot acts in the way it did, we can reason back during or after the mission why it did what it did and what it thought that the state of the world was, and who was the one or which algorithm was the one that actually said yes or no. So that makes it also accountable, well, during or monitoring, and accountable in the end. So, yeah.
Right. Thanks a lot, Jeroen. Really, really fascinating. As he said, Jeroen will be around for the rest of the day. So TNO is just across the hall here. So if you have further questions, you want more information, please pay them a visit. And we will be back here in about 20 minutes with another presentation. We'll continue that for the rest of the day. So feel free to join us again, and a small round of applause for Jeroen to finish this segment.